Rev up your engines!
Your car side windows could lead to your demise. Rolled over something and you can't get out. Door won't open. The windows are broken and won't roll down. They sell a lot of those kits. I've even made videos, and the spring-loaded ones are best, where you stick it next to the window, push the button, and the little spike goes boom, shatters the window, then you climb up. Well, that only works with tempered glass, which is what the side windows have been made for a long time in the United States. But a lot of the manufacturers are now going towards the laminated glass. The tempered glass is made so when you hit it, it shatters in pieces and you can climb up. The reason they're going to the laminated glass, your front windscreen is laminated glass, so you don't fly through it in a wreck. Well, they found out that a lot of people in the wrecks were getting thrown out through the windows when they shattered and they flew up. So now a lot of companies are making them with the laminated, where there's a glass and then the acrylic sheet inside and another layer of glass, so it will crack but it won't break, so you can't fly out. But if you need to get out, you can't get out of those. If you own a modern car, my advice is check with the manufacturer to see what kind of glass you have, because if you're planning ahead and you think that it's going to roll out and you can use your little tool you get that goes pop and shatters it, it won't shatter it on the laminated glass. And if you got a late model car, you don't want a big surprise when you can't get out of your car because it's got a different type of glass. This best one says, you think it's okay to remove the heat shield from under your car? Well, you know, the main thing that the heat shield was designed for originally, at least here in the United States, was to prevent forest fires, because when they went to catalytic converters, the temperature of the exhaust went way up because those cats get really hot. Sometimes they're over 800 degrees Fahrenheit. And they could start forest fires when you're driving around, starting the leaves and stuff on fire. So, you know, that's one of their main reasons. But as time went on and they made things tighter, a lot of times those heat shields are keeping heat from coming back on the floorboards and making your car hot. So you got to decide, do you mind if you have a hotter car or not? Some of them will actually get really warm on your feet or on your elbow between the seats. They can get pretty hot. I mean, I leave them on my own cars just because, hey, they're there. But if you live like up north and they're rotting away and they make a lot of noise, yeah, you might think about it. Blake, 78763 says, why does my '03 Lexus ES300 blow smoke from the exhaust when it starts up after sitting overnight or longer? It's 17 years old, and it's probably worn valve seals. Now, if you don't care, it isn't really going to hurt anything to do the valve seals over, and that thing is going to cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You might as well rebuild the whole engine. But if you're not losing coolant, that means it's not blowing a head gasket, because then you would lose coolant. And if it's not burning all that much oil, you don't have to add that much oil. It's just that the valve seals are rubber, and as they get old, the rubber deteriorates, and a little bit of oil will get in there. It'll smoke white. But do check your coolant. And if you really want to be a fanatic about it, I got a video how to tell if your head gasket's blown. You can buy one of those head gasket leak test kits on Amazon for like $35 when they're on sale, and you could test it yourself. It's a very easy test to do. Jan Liberty Justice says, Scotty, does it matter what brand gasoline I use? Okay, gasoline, in the United States at least, the federal government regulates the minimums that they have to meet, and they're pretty strict minimums. And any car will run perfectly fine on them. Now, if you have a fancy car, a racing motorcycle or something, a lot of people get particular because there's little bits of difference here and there. For example, if you got a high compression engine, I advise using the Shell V-Power, because Shell makes very good high-octane gasoline. It costs a lot more. You price all over the country. Every time I go on trips, I always look at all the prices, all the different stations, and the Shells are always the most expensive ones. It's a good gas, and so guys that have expensive cars and they want the most performance, I'd say go ahead and use that. It does seem to be a little bit better, but for normal driving, you can buy just about anything that's out there. Eurosaur says, best small new pickup, basic model. Well, you know, small is getting bigger. For the money, you can't beat a Toyota Tacoma, but they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. My youngest son just bought one. I was going to find him a used one. He said, heck, I'll keep it for 30, 40 years. Stop looking. I'll just buy a new one. He did, and he's happy with it. The Ford Rangers aren't bad. I would stay away from GM and Chrysler products. But, yeah, the Tacoma or the Ford Ranger, really, and if you want a smaller. But they really don't, in the United States, make the really small ones anymore. What they call small is what used to be medium or big, you know. Aaron Pappy says, my 2004 Nissan Titan's leaking clear fluid towards the middle of the truck. What could it be? Well, odds are it's just your air conditioning, and that's water. Because when you run an air conditioner, all that condensated water goes down through the AC drain hose and then drips down. Check it. smell it. And if it's just water, it's just water, and that's totally normal because there's very few clear liquids on a car. Now, I mean, check power steering if you got clear fluid, but almost all fluids in cars are tinted colors, and it won't come out clear. Odds are it's just your air conditioning dripping. I know a lot of people have having to even bring the car to me, and I said, it's normal. That's what they do, especially in here where it's humid in Houston and you're running the AC. Christopher Krennick says, Scotty, what brand of motor oil do you use? Well, I generally use Castrol. I've used it for years and years and years and years. But there's all kinds of really good oil. I'm just cheap that I can find a somewhat better oil like that Redline oil that the race guys use. But it costs twice as much as the Castrol that I buy. And I don't drive much anymore. I fly places. I change my oil every 3,000 miles or once a year. And the year always comes up before the 3,000 miles. So I'd be wasting my money buying a super expensive race oil when the Castrol is perfectly good, especially if I'm changing it every 3,000 miles. Cameron Whiteside said, can I marry you? Well, if you did, I'd be a bigamist because I've been married to the same woman for 40 years. So the answer is probably no. And I'm not one of those people that are in those crazy religious sects where you can marry all kinds of people either, so. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.